And one of the kinds of issues that has come to be focused on in trying to improve education has been a focus on leadership, and particularly school leadership. Uni High has been fortunate, if you look back at its history, to have many fine school leaders who've made a real difference in the quality of the program. School leaders are people who seem to be able to communicate to the students and the parents, other community groups, what the school is about, what its mission is, what it stands for. They're also able to articulate the curriculum, they're good teachers. And finally, they have some special quality associated with promoting school climate. I believe that the person the seniors selected tonight to deliver the commencement address represents to them that kind of school leader, someone that they knew when they entered Uni High and came to know quite well. And I also got to know Warren Royer quite well during the 2 years in which we overlapped. And I'm very pleased to present a school leader of University High School who served University High School for over 20 years and 10 years as principal, and now serves University High School as principal emeritus, Warren Royer.
Distinguished guests, faculty, parents and friends, students of the Uni High graduating class of 1988. I'm extremely pleased to come here tonight and lay a little truth on you. I don't know how much of this you will remember, not very much I expect, but it will do me a world of good. You know, as you get older, you begin to accumulate a vast store of information and wisdom, and if you don't have an opportunity to discharge it somehow, it's liable to swell up in your brain and cause headaches, blurred vision, loss of hair. So you may rest secure this evening in the knowledge that you have made a positive moral choice. You have prevented that from happening, at least to me. The truth is that we have always been becoming what we are. That's why what we are slips up on us when we're not looking. And it does not take some midnight epiphany in old age to bring the process to our attention, to make us realize in some unexpected, startling moment, at whatever age, in whatever place, the ticket line at the movies perhaps, that we have become something, that we are now mean, or kind, or cheerful, or studious, something. We already are. And we don't quite know how it happened. When did I get to be this way? Older people are always asking younger people, what do you want to be when you grow up? And young people are always putting in all the going to be's and the whens. I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a singer, I'm going to be a physicist, or when I don't need a babysitter anymore, when I'm old enough to vote, when I get a driver's license, when I get a little taller. Believe me, fans, not all our when I's come true. But the brutal truth is that now is all we have. We are now what we have been becoming all along. There is only now to be the kind of person that you have become. There is only now to be as prepared as you can be for tomorrow morning when it becomes now in its turn. I have a friend who's fond of saying that the future does not exist. She is absolutely right, but I think she would not want to be misunderstood, and I certainly would not either. To make that statement is very far from saying that there is no point in preparing for the future because it doesn't exist. that you should be interested only in a hedonistic involvement in the pleasures of the moment. Just the opposite, in fact, is the case. If we do not use now to its fullest, we will not only not have the future, we will not have now either. And ultimately, we will have no past worth mentioning. I'm going to tell you something here that sounds a little like the famous Yogi Berra statement, "It ain't over till it's over." It sounds dumb, but there really is something to it. Try this. If we do not use now to prepare for this non-existent future, then when that future comes, we will find that we have been unprepared for it. We will have become, you see, and it will have sneaked up on us when we weren't looking. The point I want to make that it's a mistake to think of yourselves in terms of what you're going to be. Think of yourselves as not really anything yet, as only in preparation. I'm finishing up as a high school student, and then I will be a college student, and then I will be whatever. And it's probably a mistake for older folks, me, and others like me, to say, what are you going to be when you grow up? The really important question is, what are you now? There are lots of things about your future that are out of your control. You have little or no control over the economic or political climate, where the jobs are, or even what they are, to any really serious degree. That's something of an exaggeration. You have not only an opportunity, but an obligation to participate in the political process, and thus exercise your share of control in that process. But I don't think that negates the essential point that I think needs pressing, that we constantly face changing sets of situations and conditions, and that we have little control over the forms in which they come at us. You have some control, for example, over the college you will attend, but no control over the others that attend that place and the kind of place they contribute toward making it. You have some control over who your future mate may be, and you may believe that you have more control than you actually do. Even here, chance factors of whom you meet and under what circumstances have some influence. But ultimately, the only element in your life that you have any really serious control over is yourself. And that, after all, is the most important element. It's the element that, handled correctly, makes it possible for you to meet with confidence the rest of the world, these changing sets of conditions I just spoke about. To see that while you cannot avoid running into random events, you can avoid being overwhelmed by them. So your task, as I see it, is to make sure that randomness does not take charge of your becoming. You take charge of it. You have control over yourself. There is no way you can avoid being something, just as there is no way you can really avoid learning. You may not always learn what we as educators set out for you to learn. You may not learn efficiently, and you may not learn much. But it's just about as impossible to avoid learning altogether as it is to avoid time passing. It just will, and you just will. But it's important not to be passive about it. Become what you want to become, and not what uncaring events push you into becoming. Our parents and grandparents are forever talking to us about the importance of good habits. Practice your violin, clean your room, brush your teeth. As long as she lived, my mother, whenever I told her I was going on a trip, never failed to say, "Take clean clothes." Now, she didn't really mean take clean clothes. What she really meant was make sure your good habits, if you have any, follow you around. Well, Mom was right, as usual. You can take control and have the clothes you want, or you can let the default mode take over and have the ones somebody else programs for you. Either way, you are now becoming. This process of becoming is a slow and insidious and almost unnoticeable one. And whenever I talk about it, I always feel a little dissatisfied that I haven't really got it right. So I'm going to tell you a story. This is a story about becoming. It's also a story about taking charge of what you become, being active about it. There's this very small town over near my home in western Illinois, back in the hills, and one day the meanest man in town died. The very meanest man, and he died. Now, this was an event that had been looked forward to with considerable anticipation for a long time, but when it actually happened, they all felt that they ought to have some kind of memorial service for him. But since it was a very small, isolated town, they had no minister, no rabbi, no priest to conduct a service. But since they felt that they ought to have a memorial service anyhow, because after all, that's what civilized people did, so they all gathered around in the back room of the general store where they had a pool table and some room and some chairs, and they all looked at each other and they all thought that somebody ought to say something nice about this man, but nobody could think of anything. So they all sat around and they looked at each other and they thought for a while, and nobody could think of anything nice to say. And finally, the kindest, the gentlest man in town stood up. And he said, "Well, I'll say this about old Jack. He wasn't near as mean sometimes as he was at others." My friends, in the words of those old American Express commercials, don't let this happen to you. I don't know how long it took old Jack to become what he was, but as for you, whatever you are becoming, and whatever it is that they say about you as you continue your life, be sure of two things: that it's a proactive sentence, not a reactive one, and that they don't have to sit around and think about it. They can think of it right away. And I suppose it might also not be a bad idea for them to be able to think of something nice. Thank you very much. I've appreciated this opportunity to share in the excitement of your graduation.
Dr. Ames, it is my honor to present the class of 1988. In the first row, please rise. William Beecher Becker. Conscience Melnick. Robert Stephen Brewer. Sarah Joanne Wright. Ken Brownfield. Andrew Eugene Chow. Marianne Elizabeth Chismadia. Daniel Benjamin Jacobson. Rebecca Ann Shotton. Ellen Elise Johnson. Sandy Catherine. Timothy James Kaufman. Marianne Anita Knight. Sylvia Renee Knus. Colin James Tatellis. Melina Claire Larson. Lisa Avery. Margaret Alice Merricky. Mira Gail Millar. Laurel Aaron Mittenthal. Sita Ursula Monrad. Mary Catherine Mullally. John Robert Neaderhiser. Todd Robert Nelson. Christopher Dean Nicholas. Stephen Franklin Norton. Emily Lynn Osborne. Mark Angelo Pazzi. Naomi Ann Parker. Beth Ann Rempe. Nicholas Richard Reinhardt. Matthew Wesley Seitz. Jeffrey Ryan Stillman. Catherine Claire Soap. Peter C. Wen. Nina Catherine It is customary at such occasions to move your tassels from right to left. Beth, Rempe.
I have my diploma. I can say whatever I want. I wasn't exactly sure how to come up with a speech because I'm not debating anything and I haven't done any research. I mean, what do you say? We're about to leave a group of people we've been with about 5 years, and the school where we spent most of those years at. I can safely say that most of us are glad to leave, but a little sad too. So, how do I come up with a fit ending with it for this? Something to top off our high school careers, a real conclusion. There's no way. Mr. B? He's the last speaker, he can do it. But seriously, I'd like to say a couple of things. Firstly, I'd like you here tonight to recognize just what the class of 1988 has to offer. It's been a really great experience to be a part of this group of people. Everyone has something to contribute to the group as a whole. We have talent in a wide variety of areas: music, sports, science, art, the humanities, drama, languages, computers, the list just goes on. And less tangible, but no less valuable qualities, such as humor, leadership, a concern for others, independence, intelligence, the ability to do your own thing no matter what other people think, the strength to stand up for what you believe. This list could also go on forever. I think we're a pretty good class, if I do say so myself. I'd like to recognize the people we've interacted with over the past years. Well, without our parents, we wouldn't be here, but I think that they probably contribute a lot more than that to our lives. Our teachers and other faculty members. A lot of you have done an awful lot for us. You're willing to sit in the halls and talk with us over just about anything. You're willing to let down your guard, be just a person for a little while. You helped us with your classes when we were having trouble. You weren't as harsh as you could have been when we were too busy doing extracurricular activities to do your homework. And you helped us take an active role in learning instead of just feeding us information. Over this past year, an awful lot of complaints have arisen about the school. John just mentioned a few of them earlier, and there are many more which have been voiced from all areas of the school. I won't go into any more of them, but I would like to issue a challenge to everyone concerned. To my class, I would like to encourage all of you to continue your work to work on these problems as alumni. We have perhaps more influence now than we ever had before, and we should use this influence and keep the issues we brought up as students alive. To current students, I would like to make sure that you make yourselves heard, to voice your complaints and to work at solutions in an honest, open manner, and not just get angry in private where nothing will happen. To parents, I hope that you will support your kids and their efforts, for your influence could help a great deal. Teachers, you're in the stickiest situation at all perhaps, for your jobs are at stake, but I hope that won't stop you from making your opinions heard as well. And to the administration, I hope that you will welcome a process of communication and change, and I hope that you will be responsive to others. Openness is extremely important because any discussion or decision-making behind someone else's back will only lead to resentment and more trouble. Well, I've said my piece about that. It's really odd being up here knowing that in a few minutes I'll be walking down that aisle as a high school graduate. We'll be in a strange in-between place for a few months, not in high school or in college. And from here on out, nothing is really certain. It's new, scary, and exciting. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
Got good news for you. We're halfway through the program. I want to close out the proceedings with a few words about past, present, and future, because basically that's what this whole thing's about. First of all, the present. There's an old saying that in life you should stop along the way to smell roses. Unless you're a cow or a small child, which you should eat them. Children seem to know this inherently, about stopping along the way, that is. You can get absorbed in the immediacy of the moment, whether it's my 11-year-old child watching in wide-eyed wonder at a fantasy epic called Willow, or a little 6-year-old Destructo who you've heard about, Super Bear, which is a game where he ties up a puppet in a big Superman cape and throws it wildly around the house, stairs, through windows, across the dinner table, whatever. Just totally absorbed in the superhero's adventures. Or my little 9-year-old girl gently kissing Twinkie, her pet hamster, goodnight. There are two lessons to be learned from this. First of all, don't kiss a hamster. You get your nose bit off. Of course, put yourself in the hamster's position to something 400 times as big as you. It's an out, you pass second class. The second lesson is a bit more profound, and the main reason for keeping kids around. Because it's certainly just because they keep their rooms clean, or they pay the rent. My kids are several months behind chronically in their rent. However, children do have a vital way of making us stop and looking at the world around us with a fresh set of eyes, keeping us from getting so wound up in preparing for the future that we miss the present. Let me tell you about this dream I had a few years ago. This is the dream sequence part of the speech. I was at my grandmother's house in middle Kentucky when, of all people, Stephen Stills showed up. And for those of you who don't know who Stephen Stills was, he happened to be the lead guitarist for Buffalo Springfield and the Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, so 20 years ago. And this guy was quite a guitarist. And there he was in my grandmother's living room with a guitar just to play music for me. I mean, this is one of the most vivid dreams I've ever had in my life. I can almost hear that music. I mean, it was something else. This guy really knew how to play guitar. Well, this is the type of experience you want to share with someone, and being practical, you also want to make sure you have witnesses, because nobody would believe that I had Stephen Stills playing a personal concert for me. This is back when I was working in a factory. And so I called this friend of mine, Nancy, up, telling him to come over because Stephen Stills was playing guitar. Nancy himself was a music lover and guitarist. Now, Nancy's about as laid back about this whole thing as I was hyper. And he said, yeah, you know, when I get around to it, I'm taking the bath, blah, blah, blah. And so I go back, Nancy doesn't show up, so I run back to the phone and say, Nancy, get over here, Stephen Stills is playing guitar, you won't believe this. He says, yeah, I want to get around to it, I'm feeding my dog. And I go back, Nancy doesn't show up, I keep running back to the phone for the whole dream, I keep running back, she says, Nancy, get over here, Stephen Stills is playing guitar. And Nancy never showed up, Stephen Stills left, and I missed the concert. I learned something a little important about myself, about life from this dream. And that was not to get so hung up on superficial things and trappings that I missed the essence of an experience. Consider how we oftentimes run our lives. When you're about 3 years old, you get sent off to preschool to prepare ourselves for grade school. Then you get to kindergarten, that course prepares you for first grade and on up the way. And grade school, of course, prepares you for junior high, and junior high, of course, prepares you for high school. You're getting out of high school, which, of course, is preparing you for the real world. There's a show I really like called 30-something. The character in there named Gary this week, he had this great line. He said, "Real life is merely a pale extension of high school." So this has been as good as it will get, I guess. So, you get out of high school, for most of you, that means you're going off to college. So what is college? This is preparation for grad school, which in itself is preparation to get a job. You get the job, which of course is preparation for promotion, which is preparation for promotion, which is preparation for promotion, and so on and so forth, until you retire, and then we will talk about what that's preparation for. Now, that's a somewhat depressing scenario, and I'm not up here to say that everybody lives their lives like that, but I think we all are guilty of that to a certain extent, some people more than others. What we need to do is learn to enjoy each moment in its own right. One of the greatest books I've ever read, a guy named Andrew Weil, The Natural Mind, and the quote that sticks in there, maybe you've heard it before, is, "Now is the point in time that touches eternity." As you step out of here with your memories of the past, with your plans and dreams for the future, keep in mind the only time you have, or ever will have, is now, so use it wisely. So what about the past? I got to thinking about this afternoon when you guys were rehearsing for graduation, and there's a little bit of a row and disagreement about what to do about those collars that you're wearing. I didn't want to wear them. And it really got me started thinking about these robes, this ritual, what all this means. First of all, let's start with these sleeves. not these. Okay. Now, most of you probably have no idea what these are, but actually, it's just a medieval pocket. Now, most people just pass this up with the stuck of Jello there or whatever. But the thing is, I think it's really neat. Somebody cared enough about their past, and about those traditions, that they would include something like that on these robes. These robes are basically the connecting link with your past. In these robes, I see the fabric of your history and your heritage. I see all these people who went before us, the people whose genes flow in your veins now. Countless peasants and factory workers who sweat the blood and helped build civilization, not to mention courageous, brilliant scientists, explorers, and philosophers whose ideas helped build our civilization and made it what it is today. For all its faults, they have aspired for some sort of more noble purpose. And these robes are the symbol of that history, everything that your civilization stands for. And you're wearing that history and that heritage, so wear it proudly. Then there's this whole thing about the processional. The seats up here on the stage are kind of neat, especially as far as watching you guys come in. Now, let's be honest about the class of '88. They're a little bit rough around the edges. Maybe a little bit scruffy here, ragtag there. A somewhat disparate group. It's hard to really stereotype you. I guess one thing we can say about the class of '88 and uni students in general is you're highly individualistic. But it's really sort of awe-inspiring as you come down those aisles, all in step, all in those robes, sort of in tune with your past. And there you are, just coming down, step by step, all together. Now, we all recognize you as individuals. It's kind of neat to see you come down together. It's as if that last 5 years, all those hassles we heard about tonight, were melted away in uni high, at least for one precious moment, it was one big family. As you come down there, it's sort of like, I see you, and I see a bunch of individuals, you're all in step. It also makes me realize that you travel on your own particular paths of life. Keep in mind those paths are parallel. They interconnect, and they're part of something much bigger. So when you walk out of here, keep in mind that those robes, you're wearing your past. You're also carrying the future. So let me say something about the future. Actually, I don't really know what to say. The future is as much a mystery to me as the rest of us, except for maybe Nancy Reagan. So all I can really say is that whether you face the future, your individual futures in a three-piece suit, or an orange mohawk, each of you is going to carve out a little piece of the future for all of us. And we'll take those pieces and put them together in one big collective future. It's always good to remember that we are part of something bigger, a bigger society and a world around us. Okay? That's an important thing to keep in mind. So as you face that future, may you face it with bravery, may you face it with patience, many faces with wisdom, gained from their past. Oh yeah, do it with love and smile. Keep all those little instructions that teach you happy. Let's split.
Smiles for the camera.
Yeah, I know that. I didn't know.
Paul smiles again.
And he mentioned it. I said, oh, I didn't know, because I would have sent a card. But, we just thought it was too late. It was like almost a year afterwards.
Well, see, I thought it was too late to send you one, too, because I didn't hear right away.
Yeah, so, well, that's the way it goes, you don't, there's lack of communication.
I went to the funeral
I don't